Caitlin Clark stepped onto the lush, sun-dappled fairways of the RSM Classic Pro-Am with the kind of casual confidence that makes you forget for a moment she's a basketball phenom, not a seasoned golfer. It was a moment that seemed to exist outside the rules of sport. The crowd gathered near the tee box wasn't the usual demographic for a Wednesday golf event. There were college students in Iowa jerseys, a smattering of basketball fans clutching Sharpies and glossy photos, and even a few curious spectators who had wandered in just to see what all the buzz was about. For Clark, this wasn't just another appearance. It was an opportunity to show she's more than a sharpshooter from beyond the arc. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. As she gripped the driver on the first tee, there was an air of anticipation that couldn't be ignored. Caitlin Clark has always had an unshakable sense of showmanship. On the basketball court, she's the player who drains a deep three and casually jogs back on defense, flashing a look that says, "Yeah, I meant to do that." That same energy was palpable on the golf course. She stood over the ball with the kind of focus you might expect from a professional athlete, but there was also a hint of humor in her stance, like she was fully aware this wasn't her domain. But she'd own it anyway. Her swing, while a bit unconventional, was effective enough to send the ball soaring down the fairway. It wasn't perfect, but it didn't have to be. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Caitlin broke into a smile that lit up the entire hole. She turned to her playing partners, shrugged, and said, "Not bad for a rookie, right?" It was classic Clark, confident, self-aware, and just the right amount of cheeky. Throughout the day, she tackled the course with a mix of determination and levity. Golf is a sport of precision and patience, neither of which are typically associated with the frenetic pace of basketball. Yet Caitlin managed to adapt in her own way, approaching each shot with a blend of focus and flair. On the greens, she was surprisingly adept, sinking a few putts that had the crowd buzzing. Her putting routine, however, was unmistakably her own. Instead of the meticulous pre-shot rituals you see from most golfers, Caitlin would eye the hole, take a quick practice stroke, and then step up with a confidence that suggested she believed every putt was going in, even if it didn't. What made her presence at the RSM Classic so captivating wasn't just the novelty of seeing a basketball star on the links. It was the way she carried herself, unfazed by the stakes, unburdened by the expectations that often weigh heavily on athletes who venture outside their primary sport. She chatted easily with her playing partners, cracking jokes, and even taking time to sign a few autographs between holes. One young fan asked her if she was going to switch to golf full-time. Without missing a beat, Caitlin replied, "Only if they let me wear basketball shoes on the course." Her interactions with fans were a highlight of the day. At one point, a group of college students in Iowa hockey's gear shouted her name as she walked to the next tee. Caitlin responded by mimicking a jump shot, complete with a follow-through that drew laughs and applause. It was a reminder that no matter where she goes, basketball is always a part of her identity. But on this day, she was showing she could hold her own in another sport entirely. The Pro-Am format of the RSM Classic allowed for a relaxed atmosphere, but that didn't mean Caitlin wasn't competitive. By the back nine, it was clear she was keeping track of her score, even if she didn't admit it outright. She celebrated good shots with fist pumps and groaned audibly after the occasional misfire. On the 16th hole, she found herself in a tricky spot, a bunker that seemed more like a sand trap of doom. Instead of panicking, she approached it with the same calm aggression that defines her game on the court. Her sand wedge made clean contact, and the ball popped out perfectly, landing just a few feet from the hole. The crowd erupted again, and Caitlin threw her arms in the air as if she just hit a game-winning buzzer beater. The humor wasn't just in her actions, but in her commentary as well. Walking up to the 18th green, she glanced at her caddy, who, let's face it, had probably never worked with someone quite like her, and said, "Think we've got a shot at Augusta next year." The caddy laughed, clearly enjoying the moment as much as the crowd. Caitlin may not have been breaking any course records, but she was breaking the mold of what a crossover athlete could look like. By the time she sank her final putt, the gallery around the green had swelled considerably. It wasn't the polished finish of a PGA Tour pro, but it was a performance that left an indelible mark. Caitlin waved to the crowd, high-fived her playing partners, and looked genuinely thrilled by the experience. As she walked off the course, someone asked her if she'd be back next year. She didn't hesitate. "If they'll have me, I'm in." Caitlin Clark's appearance at the RSM Classic Pro-Am wasn't just a fun detour in her already remarkable career. It was a statement. It showed that athletes don't have to be confined to one identity or one sport. It proved that the qualities that make someone a star on the court, confidence, charisma, and a touch of daring, translate just as well to other arenas. And perhaps most importantly, it reminded everyone watching that sports at their core are meant to be fun. The implications of her participation extend beyond the confines of the Pro-Am itself. For young athletes watching at home, Ketlin's performance was a lesson in stepping outside your comfort zone and embracing new challenges with enthusiasm. For the golf world, it was a chance to connect with a younger, more diverse audience. And for Caitlin herself, it was an opportunity to show that her talent, much like her personality, is too big to be contained by a single sport. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the course, Caitlin Clark left the fairways behind, but not without leaving a trail of admiration and laughter in her wake. It was a historic moment, not because of any records broken or milestones reached, but because it was unmistakably hers, authentic, bold, and unforgettable. The kind of moment that makes you pause and think, what can she do? And maybe that's the point. Caitlin Clark isn't just playing the game, she's redefining it. As the day wound down and Caitlin Clark left the final green, there was a palpable sense that something rare had just taken place. The crowd lingered, reluctant to let the moment slip away entirely. Caitlin had brought something to the course that isn't typically associated with golf, a sense of ease, a connection to the audience, and a playful charm that bridged the gap between athlete and fan. Her presence had turned a quiet Pro-Am into an event buzzing with life and energy. Reflecting on her performance, it wasn't just about how well she played but how naturally she embraced the experience. Caitlin approached each shot, whether good or bad, with a kind of resilience and humor that made it impossible not to root for her. She was the underdog and the star all at once, a combination that's hard to manufacture and even harder to fake. Her time on the course also opened the door for new conversations about athletes crossing over into other sports. It's one thing to try your hand at a new game, but it's another to do it with the confidence and charisma Caitlin displayed. She reminded everyone watching that sports are as much about joy and connection as they are about skill. As she signed autographs and posed for photos on her way off the course, it was clear Caitlin Clark had once again left an indelible mark, not just on a basketball court, but on the golf course as well. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.